What's up, everyone? We are live at 5 Eastern Time. It's
Yeah.
Tuesday, June 9th. I'm Paul Wantorek.
And I'm Michael James Scott.
Oh, hello, Michael James Scott. Good
Hello.
to see you here.
What's up, Paul?
Back in the house.
Just crashing the party. Crashing the
Love
house
having
party.
you here. We are joined, as always, by Caitlin Moynihan. How you
Hello,
doing, Caitlin?
I'm great. We got Michael James Scott here. You can't have a bad day when he's around.
Aww. We are really excited. We are really excited. This is a super special episode. We have an amazing panel of some of our favorite past Live at 5 guests and friends.
Yes.
We're going to talk to them. Michael's going to lead a great conversation. But first, let's dig into a little bit of today's news.
Today it was announced that a big organization is giving a lot of money to smaller nonprofit and regional theaters.
Well, I recognize that photo. Isn't that Aaron Tveit and Company? Is that what's happening there?
Oh, yes.
That's what that is. I saw that production. Remember when there was theater in the summer? Remember that?
Oh.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to bring down the room. So here's what we found out. The Schubert Foundation awards $32 million in 2020 grant support to nonprofit art organizations. That's $32 million. That's a lot. Ranging from $10,000 to $325,000 each. The grants benefit a broad spectrum of arts organizations from large to small. Some of the companies: American Theater Repertory Theater, Arena Stage, Ars Nova, Barrington Stage Company. That's where Aaron Tveit did Company. We always look for an excuse to show a photo of Aaron Tveit. Classic Stage Company, Huntington Theater Company, and more. So that's some good money being spread around. We like that.
Yes.
And Kara Young, as well as a bunch of other theater faves are going to be part of this week's Viral Monologues.
Yes. So Kara Young, Susan Hayward, and more are set for the 24-hour plays Fist Up Underlying Conditions edition. Okay. So this is the 24-hour plays. It's the Viral Monologues will present Fist Up Underlying Conditions, a special event featuring Black artists to benefit communities united for police reform tonight on IGTV. That's really, really exciting. Starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the new monologues will be published, one every 15 minutes. Portia and Russell G have curated the evening. I think that's really exciting. This week's performers include Kara Young, Susan Hayward, Stephanie Barry, Keith Arthur Bolden, Angela Lewis, Craig Scott, and more. And some original monologues will be written by Angie Bridget Jones, James Jorsling, Sean Randall, Monique A. Robinson, and more. So tune in, y'all. IGTV. That's really exciting.
That was a lot of names, Michael. You did a good job with all those names. That was good. You're a natural.
No,
you're natural with the names.
Much better than me.
So, as we said yesterday, Michael, we had a conversation last week. We were talking back and forth a lot. And you pitched this idea, and we're very excited to have you here and to have this amazing roundtable. And so we're going to bow out. And we're going to let you're taking over Live at 5, Michael James Scott. The genie unleashed. Get out. Get out. We're out.
Thank y'all.
We're out. Really, so introduce your amazing guests.
Amazing. All right, y'all, here we go. I am so excited to get to do this and be a part of this first roundtable discussion on hashtag Broadway Live. Okay, sorry, hashtag Live at 5, Broadway Live, Broadway.com Live. It's a special edition, and we are doing a roundtable today with 3 awesome, beautiful artists joining me who I just think the world of. Asmeret Ghebremichael, Ato Blankson-Wood, and Mr. Daniel J. Watts. Yes, there they are. Look at them. What's up, y'all? Hey, y'all. So let me brag about y'all first before we move on, but so we can just know what's going on, the matters at hand. So Asmeret Ghebremichael has been on. There it is. Has been on Broadway in the Book of Mormon, Wicked, Legally Blonde, Spamalot, and more. She was also Laurel in Dreamgirls on the West End in London, which I got to see. She was fierce. Recently, Asmeret penned a really beautifully written, vulnerable essay entitled "I'm Tired of Being the Token Black Friend." So I can't wait to get to talk to her and more about it. Also, FYI, she's one of my besties. There's Atu. Mr. Atu was most recently seen on Broadway, y'all, in Jeremy O'Hara's acclaimed Slave play. Come on. And for those of you who got the chance to see this, you know how mind-blowing and just profound this piece was. It really was mind-blowing. He earned a Lortel Award nomination for his featured role in its off-Broadway run at the New York Theater Workshop. His other Broadway credits include Lysistrata Jones, the revival of Hair, which we got to do together.
Hey.
And Atu is a part of the Broadway Advocacy Coalition. I cannot wait to talk to you about that. And its 3-day forum, Broadway for Black Lives Matter again. Okay, and then we have the Daniel J. Watts in the red baseball cap, giving me something going on. Daniel is an original Broadway cast member of Tina, the Tina Turner musical, and he plays Ike Turner. Come on now, yes. Yes, look at that. I love it. He has 8 Broadway credits to his name. That's right, 8 Broadway credits to his name, including Hamilton, The Color Purple, Memphis, Motown the Musical, and more. Watts recently took home the featured actor in a musical award at the Ovation Awards for his turn as Sammy Davis Jr. in Lights Out, Nat King Cole at the Geffen Playhouse. Congratulations, that's everything. And Daniel's also known for his long-running spoken word series, The Jam. Okay. There it is. So we are here. I am so happy y'all are here. And I wanted to, let's just get into it. Let's just get on into it. As we all know, there has been, this really is about, for me, this sort of first round table discussion is about the awakening that is happening. And there has been, obviously, we have been feeling stuff most of our lives. However, the world in the last few weeks, there is truly an awakening that is happening. And I want to get your initial thoughts on this awakening and just sort of that first sort of like bubbling up, that this cracking that is going on right now, and not only in our country, but in our community. So it's pretty incredible. So I want to ask each of you just your initial thoughts right now about where you are. Asmeret?
Man, I thought Daniel was going to go first. I was going to piggyback on something brilliant that he said.
Your mind.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, I think I've gone through a number of emotions. I think when all the news was breaking out a couple weeks ago about Christian Cooper and about George Floyd, I think I don't want to speak for everyone, but I felt like it was bringing back old traumas, and so it kind of put me in a heavy emotional place. I was definitely, grieving these lives that we've been losing for years that go way back, at the hands of police brutality. So, and because everyone is home because of the pandemic, there's been so much information going around social media and just people talking to one another. And so when it first happened, I was overwhelmed and I shut down. And then I started checking in with other friends of mine who were going through the same exact thing. And so that provided a little comfort, because I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not just like hypersensitive for no reason. There was a sense of community starting to build. And so I took the necessary steps to take care of myself. I deleted my social media apps for a few days. I actively stayed away from watching these videos and things that triggered me. And then something happened one day, and I was talking on the phone to Josh Gad, and we did this impromptu Instagram live conversation. And And I started to discover that the more I spoke about it with certain people that I trust and that I respect and love, I started to feel a sort of lightness. I was like, okay, I had to like re-download my app, Josh. It's like, all right, here we go, back on social media. But as I had started to have these conversations, and then as I had the opportunity to write this piece for Broadway News, I started to feel empowered, actually, and inspired. I think people have different perspectives and opinions about the amount of information that's being shared online, and I think that as we move into this sort of walk the talk that Cody Richards said so brilliantly on CNN, as we're wanting to see people walk the talk, I think that some people are thrilled with what's going on online, and people are delighted to see all this information being shared. And on the other end, it's like, okay, what are you doing outside? What are you doing, in terms of donations, in terms of making the phone calls? So I think I've shifted my energy from this sort of like, well, not woe is me, but this sort of like heaviness and this helplessness, and try to, as much as I can, focus my energies on what I can do to help. And I think that's seeing that other people are of the same mind, or people that are still in a place of grief. I feel both empowered to sort of like walk this part of the marathon while people are getting their thoughts and their feelings together. And I'm inspired to see that people are stepping up and speaking out. Did that answer the question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's a lot. It's a heaviness.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Which is why, this, even just sort of starting this, with us four, right now. And when you sort of talk about the initial awakening, and it's a lot. So I know it's a pretty broad question, but I think it's important for people to hear that vulnerability in terms of what that initial state is for us right now. It's important. Ato, what about for you? What has that been like for you?
I feel like it has been like every emotion all at once, or like one day it's grief, one day it's anger, one day it's like motivation and just like, and sort of like activity has been part of it. I have been doing a lot of just like saying yes to what is happening, and I, at the beginning of this pandemic, it was like, this is just difficult to go through, this moment of isolation. But I think that this bubbling over, this awakening that's happening is because we don't have anywhere else to look.
Right.
There's no room for distraction in this moment. We have nowhere else to look. And in the weeks leading up to this, we had nowhere else to look, and a lot of people at least were looking at social media.
Yes.
So it's like created a perfect storm for when these stories broke. We didn't have anywhere to look, and everyone was looking at social media. And then all these stories are on social media, and then people are able to galvanize on social media around this, right?
Yeah.
And be like, what are you doing off of social media as well? Like you said, Asmeret. Like, while the grief, I think, has subsided a little bit, I feel like it has been a motivator. I feel like it has been fuel. And I think that is kind of what is incredible about this moment. We don't have anywhere else to look. So what are you actually going to do? This walk the talk moment is like, you have to be willful in your refusal to do something about this right now. And I think
Say that again.
You have to be willful in your refusal to do something about this. Like, if you are choosing not to do something in this moment, that's effort. That is so much effort. You don't have any distractions, and I think that's a beautiful thing about this moment.
The church literally just said amen. We all we all just said amen. Like, I felt like we were in the color purple right there. We were like, it's Sunday morning. Like, we were like,
go make a joy.
Yes, go make a joy. Living. Thank you, Atu. Yeah. Thank you. It's also great. Isn't it great when we get to talk about this and we actually do, it forces you to really talk, like articulate those feelings. It's like what I admire about incredible writers, because I'm not really a writer, and I wish I could be, like I want to, and I'm learning to do that more. But this is a moment that is forcing you to actually articulate that, because it's so important for other people to hear it. Because if people are like awakening to it, I'm like, well, then we better say it. You know what I mean? Like, because exactly. Daniel, I know that you are a man of words. You are an artist of words as well, and it is, I think, one of your superpowers. And so I am interested in what your initial awakening has been in this moment.
Well, it's like, is piggyback Atu, like I'm equally activated as I am exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like, finally, this isn't news. You know, this isn't news. Ahmaud Arbery and Ahmaud Arbery died the exact same way Trayvon died.
Mm-hmm.
It died the exact same way Eric Garner died. Literally his dying words. So it's like there's this exhaustion and frustration of like, what about these? What about this? I can't breathe. Is different.
Yeah.
I can't breathe. Yeah. You know, what's the difference between this looks suspicious in a neighborhood is different than that looks suspicious in a neighborhood. And it's what Atu says is like, nobody can go anywhere. You know, it's like you're forced to sit here with it. And if you don't jump on board, you are choosing ignorance. And, you know, you can feign ignorance if you don't know, if you have other distractions. It's like, oh, I wasn't on socials. I was, you know, running around doing things. No one has an excuse. Everybody knows everybody's at home right now. You're at home and you're tuned in. You're tuned into something. Unless you're not, and that's fine. You know, you can be under a rock to a relative degree, but like, you know, there's people marching outside. Something's going on that you should be in tune to. So it's like people are activated. I'm activated, but I'm activated, and I'm also repeating the same things that I was saying in 2014 and 2016 and 2017. So it's like, okay, now that you're awake, now that we're no longer conspiracy theorists, now that you see it for yourself, let's go back to 101. You know, so like that's what's happening right now. And that's it. It's again, I'm activated. I haven't really had to write anything new because I wrote it then, you know, folks wrote it then. And I'm not saying anything that James Baldwin didn't say, that Angela Davis didn't say. You know, these are the same conversations decade after decade after decade, hence the exhaustion. But the change has to happen, hence the activation. So it's, you know, the baton has been passed to us in a way, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. You know, it's crazy when I think about this, because we are in this moment, right? We're in this racial awakening, all the things that we have heard all of our lives, and our parents all of their lives, and so forth. As we can continue to go back, we're in a pandemic. Remember that? Remember that?
It was just a pandemic. It was just a pandemic.
Remember it was just the pandemic? Remember when it was like, remember it was just like Broadway's just shut down for like, you know what I mean? We're like, okay, like we're in the pandemic.
Let me go outside. Oh my God.
Like, let me social distance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm like, fine. But then that happened. And now we're also in what I'm calling the Broadway awakening as well, the cracking open of that. And so it is, I know particularly for us in our community, there is so much to digest in this moment and where we are going, and truly like in terms of specifically as we start going down into our community, like into our Broadway community. So it is a lot. Before I move on for like, you know, some sort of individual questions, do any of you want to share a nugget of knowledge for what this initial Broadway awakening is doing and what is happening in there?
Well, I'm feeling like just having come off of slave play and just being in that world. And
remember how you just came off of slave play? Remember that? Like, yeah. I mean,
ooh, that was a lot. But and also to have been involved with the initiatives that the show was putting forth. Like, we had 2 different blackout nights. They made the show and made the audience, the demographic of the audience, reflect the people who were on stage. Our producers, Jeremy, were really about making sure that the audiences reflected the story itself, which is like which to me was like the beginning of this, right? And I think we had the faucet at like a trickle. Do you know what I'm saying? We were like, all right, we can get this through. Now let's try to get this through. But like, again, because we're in this specific moment, there are no distractions. Like, we have turned the faucet all the way on. It's a deluge. We're demanding all of the things now. Every single thing. You thought that ticket initiative was cute. Okay, now we need your board of directors to be inclusive. We need we're going all the way, and I think that's what's incredible about this awakening.
Yeah. Yes.
Said.
We'll get into more of that in a second, but okay, so I'm going to Asmeret. Yes. I can say Asmeret because Asmeret is a pronunciation that most, like, that's the sort of the American pronunciation. And when I met Asmeret's mom, she said, Asmeret. What'd you say?
Askeret. My mother's name is Askeret.
Askeret. Yeah. She said, Asmeret. And I was like,
who?
Asmeret. Have I? Oh, like my face was cracked. So now, like, I make it a point to be like, Asmeret, like, just so that I can, like, because, like, but that's why I'm saying, because some people are probably like, why are you saying Asmeret? I'm like, that's actually how it is pronounced. But
it's a tag. I just can't say it.
Yeah. So, Asmeret,
yes.
So you recently wrote, like we talked about earlier, this op-ed opinion for Broadway News. I'm tired of being the token Black friend. And as I said, it's a must-read for all of you. It's already been, like, shared so many times. People are, like, gagging over it in a great way, because it is so well written. And I mean, just FYI, Asmeret and I have called each other tokens, literally, basically our entire friendship.
Since we were at a token audition together.
We literally have been the tokens at the audition where it's been cut down, and then we were the 2 left. So I'm just, yes, so there's that. But I want to read this passage from...
Come on, quotes.
Yes, I want to read this passage, and I want to get your thoughts on it. She says, "For years, I had been in the rehearsal rooms as a token, as the sassy Black friend, and as the cultural chameleon who code switches as effortlessly as she breathes. And these are just the roles I've played off stage. I've borne witness to creatives usually casually using the N-word and peers assuring me that no malice was intended by that. I've experienced white peers measuring my Blackness against theirs, whether in skin tone, butt size, or affinity for Black music. So-and-so is like you, a white Black person is a real favorite line of mine. That is also a real favorite of mine. For years, your Black friend has taken it in stride and maintained the status quo to make you feel comfortable, to make you laugh, to make it go away. But now is the time this changes. We're in a unique situation right now, and that isolation due to the coronavirus pandemic has given us all the opportunity to pause, reflect, and reset on a micro level. I have used this time to confront issues I conveniently avoided in the past. It was never my fault day-to-day survival in New York was challenging enough. Several months into isolation, however, I have no more excuses, and neither do you. And a hush fell over Jerusalem. So I firstly, thank you for sharing that. That is a lot to digest for, I'm sure, people who read that, who know you as well, and maybe that have never heard you say those words. But obviously a lot for you to get out those words. And, you know, I'm sure you never imagined that you were going to be writing an op-ed during a coronavirus pandemic.
No. It was never on my vision board, believe it or not.
But I want to ask you, what, like, for you to say these words out loud, what are you hoping happen as an awakening from these words?
Well, first off, the reason why I wrote it was because I was so inspired by some of my friends and colleagues and peers stepping forward and speaking up about their experiences. And so when I had this conversation with Josh, and then very quickly after, I was presented with the opportunity to write this piece. And at first I was completely terrified. I was, you know, overcome by anxiety and stress, and what do I have to say, and does anyone care, and would anyone listen, and what is it that I want to accomplish? You know, what is my objective? Mm-hmm. And then I sat with it for a minute and thought, you know, you've been doing this for a long time. You have a lot of experiences. There are things that I just sort of swallowed. There are things that I just let slide. There are things that bothered me that I just sort of let go because I was, you know, alone in a room with a bunch of people who didn't look like me. I was nervous to say anything because I didn't know how that would affect my career. And I didn't know that anyone would care. And well, nothing's going on right now, so I can't get fired for anything. As more people started to speak out, I realized that there is solidarity in telling your truth. And though it is a story specific to my own, there are experiences that are universal, and there are emotions that are universal. And sharing my specific experience could empower somebody else that I don't even know. And I felt that, I wanted to have a voice in this movement, but whether it was big or small. And what I hope to accomplish is awareness and awakening and actual change. You know, it's not just me, you know, it's not just, you know, well, this happened and I felt this way and I didn't like it. You know, it's more, I invite you to I'm looking at myself. I've been looking at myself. I invite you to do the same.
That's what's beautiful about it. That's what, not to cut you off, but like what was most beautiful about the piece for me was that you were taking responsibility for your own complicity and whatever. And I think that is the crux of getting through any of this. Like, it's like, it's easy to finger point, like, well, you did, but it's like, what did I do? When did I stay silent when I should have said something? You know, and I was more worried. I was either worried about your feelings or I was worried about my survival, whether that be financially or job wise or whatever. But like taking responsibility for however you might have, you know, like say, I'm tired of being the token and it's your fault. It's like, no, it's my fault. I'm the token. I'm putting myself in this space where I already knew there were no Black people. You know, that was really beautiful. And
it went years back. I mean, without going too into detail about who my teacher was growing up, it happened to be on the same.
I know who it is.
You know, I shared a little bit about my childhood and growing up in a dance studio where that was exploited as well, and that's where I first started to make other people feel more comfortable and you know, just started to like use humor and charm to deflect, you know, the feelings that I actually might be feeling about it.
That's another.
What were you gonna say?
I just feel like that's another amazing, like, galvanizing thing about this moment, that this energy is like, you write this article and so many people have had the same experience.
Yes.
So many people have swallowed it. And then now it's like, oh, that was her experience. I wasn't alone in that. That wasn't just me. And then all of a sudden, all of this stuff comes up, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's what's so, like, uniting and galvanizing about this moment is like, oh, you too? Yeah. All right, let's talk about this and let's actually do something about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important that we, it's also important that we share these stories out loud to people who would never think, they would never hear it. They would never hear what is happening in the room, and within our business, really making it more specific, and we're sort of like going into the whose phone?
What's the phone call? I'm just confused. What's the phone call?
Who's calling you? Broadway?
Can you imagine? 212, hold on.
Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh. But I think it's important that we have an audience of people who are really, for us, finally getting to hear the like specifically the experience that are among so many people of color in this business. So I also, one thing that people should know, and one of the other things that I think is really important about it, is your use of humor as well throughout the pain. And you channeling, like you said, you put on a face and all the things and whatever it is, but that you are also able to use humor to make us think. That is powerful to me personally, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. So now, Daniel, as we talked about before, for those of you out there who don't know, Daniel has been doing, and a lot of us all know about the Jam and about all of his shows that he has done that are so, I mean, they're always sold out, and it's like always like, did you go to Daniel's show? Did you go to Daniel's show? Did you get to see it? Right.
Always.
It's always. But it's so great because you are, like I said, I think it's one of your superpowers, your art, your words, and to be able to be an artist to give that out, I so respect and so admire, and I really hope more people, even now you did on IG, you do on your Instagram Live, the Jam specials there. It's important for people to go and see that other side as well. So I'm, like you said, you've been doing it for a while. We know you've been doing this for a long time. So there is that. But you're also ushering in a new audience as well in this moment, which I think is really exciting too. But I want to ask you specifically about your last, The Jam, and it was entitled "The Next Time Is Now." Yes, the next time is now, which I love that was the title of it. So I want to know what that means to you, for us to know, and what can we learn about the next time being now?
Yeah, it's like it's a stack in ways. So like, there's a poet named Roger Beauregard, who is this Trinidadian poet who, just hearing him speak is just like, it's amazing. He has a poem called How Do We Spell Freedom, from The Way You See Alphabeti. And The Way You See Alphabeti is by a man, last name is The Way You See, I should know this. And he kind of breaks down the alphabet, like A is for Africa, B is for Black, C is for culture, and that's where it's at. And he kind of goes throughout the alphabet, and it means different things. Roger then flipped it and made his own poem, spinning it off of Wayusi's poem. Towards the end of the poem, he says, J is for James Baldwin, the next time is now. Now, I hadn't read James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time when I had heard this poem. So I knew J is for James Baldwin, the next time is now. And that's just been in my head. And then when I finally read James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, if you open the leaflet in the beginning, it says, God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, the fire next time.
Hey.
So James Baldwin got the title from that passage, which is like an old gospel blues song. That's where he got that from. Roger Bonner-Agard got The Next Time Is Now, spinning off of that. So that being in my head and just seeing like, it's fire. The world is on fire right now. People had to set fire to things to really, really get attention. You know, that police department got set on fire, and now there's no more police department in Minneapolis. You know, it's time to, fire is used biblically. You know, fire is used. We know that fire is a purifying agent. You know, so silver isn't. You know, silver is melted down to its purest state when you can see yourself in the reflection of it. You know,
the rebirth, the rebirth,
Phoenix. Yep. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be burned away, and it's now. It's not later. You know, it's now. You know, this is the time to do it. And because if it's not now, then we're complicit in the next time. So like, think about if we use George Floyd and Eric Garner as a barometer. We allowed that many Black people to die before people got agitated. It took that many Black people, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, Tatiana Jefferson, Sandra Bland, like all these people died between Eric Garner and George Floyd. So it's like, how many more are we gonna let die before we get it again? It's like, do we have to do this again? Because nobody has time. I mean, we have time. We've made time before, but it's like, is that who we are? If that's who we are, then let's just say that's who we are, and then we don't have to keep doing this, because it's like, you know, this isn't America. Our America isn't like this. This is our America, and this is what America's been doing since its inception. So if we don't want to be America, that's what we need to do. So the jam essentially has been to galvanize, you know, the idea of getting people together because we can't gather, or we haven't been allowed to gather until very recently. You know, it's like, okay, well, let's at least get together in the same space, and we at least know we're in the same space. And like, I'm gonna do a jam, I'm gonna perform, talk about some stuff, and y'all can talk to each other in the comments.
We do. There's a lot of talking going on in those comments.
Which I think is beautiful. Sometimes, you know, on one hand, I will like, you're not paying attention, but it's for that. Like, people need to know that they're not alone because they're alone, you know?
Yes.
You know, even I finished the jam, like, okay, thank you guys, good night. And I close the jam, and then I'm sitting in the dark by myself, you know, and I feel it. I feel like, you know, I just had a community and now they're gone again. So it's like, the jam is based on my great grandmother who used to make jam from scratch. You can't make it a jar at a time, you have to make it in bulk. So she make herself a jar and give the rest away. So like, the whole impetus of it is community. Here, hey, everybody, we got some jam, could be sweet, might get sticky, but we're gonna have some, you know. So the hope with the jam going forward is to get more community, get more empowering people. That's the whole purpose. Is like,
I love it. That's, I mean, we're talking about awakening and empowering all of it. Like, that's a part of it. And for the, you know, for the new members of your tribe coming in, the audience members, you know, it'll be great for them to get to understand that. For those people who know what you've been doing, it's another level of it. So that's important. So please, all of you all out there, you know, check it out and see what the jam is about, because it's actually important. It's so important right now for all the different voices that are actually out, that have already been out there, and who also are speaking up, to be heard. So that's fantastic.
I just want to say too, the home version is very exciting. It gets very Blair Witch. There are location changes. There's something for everybody.
Not very Blair Witch.
It's very Blair Witch. Just when you think he's going to stay in one room, he's like location. It
is true. You're right. Because I was like, how is he
doing that?
Where is he on there? Like, I'm like, wait a minute now. And how is this whole back now like a different backdrop, and you're like in front of it?
He's learned new skills in quarantine.
Like, are you like he's like, you know what I mean? Like he's like giving it to you. Like it's like, what's going on?
It really is. It's like it's the sense of community that you feel when you're watching and experiencing the jam from your house is incredible. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. That's how people are going nuts in the comments, because they're just like, oh, you know, just like repeating things that he says. It's like, you know, emojis.
So, Ato Blankson-Wood. But just a pop. So you are. I mean, what I love about Ato, and if any of you all who know him personally, I mean, you see his light in like when Ato walks into a room. It's like a gentle blinding light. But I feel like there's just like this like really it's just a gorgeous glow, but there's also it's gentle as well, and it's also people really get drawn to it. So I want to talk to you about Broadway Advocacy Coalition, because, you know, in this idea of this theme of awakening and this sort of beginning the conversation, thank you, ticker, as it strolls by, yes, of what's going on up in here. First of all, why did you personally feel compelled to be involved? Did you get involved? You know, recently? Have you been involved? Like, I'm curious about your journey there, and also just talk about the 3-day forum. Starting tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, starting tomorrow. There it is, Broadway for Black Lives Matter again. But what are you hoping this does for our community and beyond?
Yeah, well, I went to a fundraiser for Broadway Advocacy Coalition a few months ago, and that work, the work they do when I encountered them was work with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people, and work to change policy, to change minds and hearts around incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people. And so I encountered that, and I was like, I would really love to be involved. But then, of course, you know, in contrast to this moment, at that time, like, there was a lot going on. So I was like, I would love to be involved. Distracted by other things, you know? And then in this moment, there were protests happening. I'm out in LA right now, and there were protests happening, and there were riots happening, and I was like, I want to do something. I want to feel, I want to feel like I'm being active in this moment. But for me personally, my ministry, I did not feel like marching and protesting in the streets was my ministry. So like, how do I contribute? And I was asked by the president of Broadway Advocacy Coalition if I wanted to be involved in planning this event. And I was like, that I can do. Because for me, it's about people, it's about connecting people, it's about having conversations, how we're listening to each other. And so I like creating a space for listening between Black members of our community and white members of our community was necessary, but also creating a space on day one for Black folks just to be like, all right, here we are, we're talking about it. Like sort of the same space that the Jam creates, or Asmeret, your article creates, right? It's like, we want to present something to say, let's all just like acknowledge that this is happening for us, for real, it's happening. All those years of being gaslit, like, let's just all acknowledge that that was gaslighting. Let's really get on this same page, right? And I think that is
The church just said amen.
The church, yeah, the church, yeah.
You know, I mean, and,
Yes.
and that's what I think is really, I'm really excited about this forum, is like, it takes away the power of the person gaslighting. If we're all just like, this is gaslighting, you have no, your ability to do that is gone.
You have no power here, be gone.
Precisely. And I think that that's what's exciting about, especially day one of this forum, is, you know, that we're all going to get a chance to be like, no, let's stand in our power. How do we do that? And I also take this time to also say, like, this event is centered on folks who have been on Broadway, but also it extends to folks who have not been on Broadway, to people who are entering our industry, to people who are students right now. Like, to people who are working in the regions, like, we need to make sure that across this country that the American theater is changing. And so in order to do that, we have to also, like, extend that invitation to people who also haven't been on Broadway. So I want anyone out there watching and listening to know that, like, you are invited as well. So
that's, I mean, yes. That's so incredible. I'm excited. You know, I feel like everybody I know has signed up, like, and are, you know, are even the folks who I'm like, you signed up? Okay. You know,
you can, the registration is live right now. You can register for free. It's ticking at the bottom, bwayforblm.com.
Boom. Right there. Right there. Yeah. I love that. Well, I think it's what I love about the three of you too is that there is in this moment of awakening for a lot of folks. You know, there's a lot of people awakening. We've been for a long time. So, but in this moment, while that is happening, you three have spoken up in your own ways. And also, I love how different each way has been, that there is no one way. And I love that you talked about, you know, for example, that your ministry was not going out to walking in a protest specifically. You know, those are because so many people actually try to, like, they feel bad that they're not doing that, but they just are not, that's just not their ministry. And I always say, know your ministry.
Right.
Are you a belter or are you a mixer? Are you like, what's happening? You see what I'm saying? Are you a dancer or are you a singer track? Like, what's happening? Can you do it all? We got to figure out. Right. Are you a real triple threat? Know your ministry. Just saying.
Know it. You gotta know it.
So
I'm saying that, like, you know, Daniel, you said this, and I've said this, you know, to friends of mine. It's not monolithic. We all have different. We're comfortable with different ways of expressing and protesting, you know, and sharing our stories. And I think that's what makes us so interesting. It makes the world go round.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my last question for the three of you to you know, and we've kind of touched a little bit upon this, because the crazy thing is that, you know, you kind of have, like, you build in time, and of course we've all been feeling and been talking about it for years, and so, like, you know, whatever, an hour or 2 hours feels like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's never enough time. But I really, really wanted to, I specifically thought the three of you, in terms of right now, this sort of, like, bubbling, as you said, like, that has been happening, was important to sort of just start talking about. So I am thankful that we've been able to do that today. And there's so much more discussion. I mean, literally, this is like the half-inch Capizio. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're like, we are the half-inch training Capizio. I want to get to the 3 and 4 inch. You know what I mean? Where I can kick my face, LaDuca. You know what I'm saying? And like, so we're only
ballroom heel.
Oh, that's so
okay, right? We're only there. But it's so important that we are actually talking. So I am excited about talking as well. I'm also excited about action. And so this question is sort of like, for you all, in this awakening, what's the first thing or beginning of it's a big question. What's the first thing or beginning of the first thing, in your opinion, of how we start to take action?
I would say educate yourself first. You know, like if we use how a Broadway show is made as a model, it's like, let's sit down and read the script, you know, before we put anything on its feet, before we start playing around. Like, what is it on the page? Like, what does this say on the page? Go read a book. Go read several books. Watch them. You know, this fight didn't start today, and it's not going to finish today. So there's no, as much as there is a sense of urgency, there's no rush. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, take time to really know what your ministry is, know your lane, because you might feel like I'm a in the street kind of person, and realize if you sit down for a second with yourself and go, oh, actually, no, I'm much more interested in legislation. And you know what I mean? So taking the time to figure out what that is just sitting, like, just sit for a second. This ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And like to sort of piggyback off of that, I also think what's beautiful is in your reading, in your education, also having a connection to our history, the history of this fight, to also, like, something that has been really just like comforting to me is just the basic knowledge that, like, people who came before me in my bloodline have also been doing this work, have also been fighting this fight. And there's like, I feel like in order to give us the strength we need to go the distance with this, we also have to call all of those people with us as well. Remember that they're with us and strengthen us as well, you know?
Yes.
Well, isn't it funny in this time, and Azzy, make sure, obviously I want you to, but isn't it funny in this time, like, I don't know about you all, but like, when I talk to my parents, you know, there's a different tone with how they're feeling and how they are processing this, because again, it has been you know, they are obviously older and they have been dealing with this for a long time. But I find it really interesting that there is this sense of, like, okay, we are passing this on, because, you know, for our dreams was that you would not have to deal with this. You know, our ancestors' dreams were that we would not have to deal with this. Yeah. Here we are in 2020 having to deal with it. And so we still have to deal with it. And like you're saying, Atu, it's like bringing them as well with us, because that's the strength.
She paused. Michael?
It's not funny, but it's hilarious at the same time. All right, there it is. It's like,
you froze for a second.
Did I freeze?
Yeah, it's crazy. It was fascinating.
Oh,
it was fascinating.
We were like, oh.
I planned it. It was a part of it.
Frozen at 5.
And like, why am I pushing my hair back? So, but I'm saying, you know, it's just, it's even in our industry, of all of the ones back and where we are now, and bringing all of that together is so important. And so I hear you with that. Azzy, what were you gonna say? What do you want to say on this?
Well, no, I agree. I agree, you know, in terms of education. I don't know if you saw the meme that was made out of my quote, but I said, you can figure out how to make banana bread. You can easily find James Baldwin.
Yes.
Would you please say that again? There's also another one as well.
Sure. I said, if you can figure out how to make banana bread, and we've seen by all the posts that you have indeed figured out how to make banana bread, you can easily find James Baldwin. You know, which is like, these resources are here. They've been here, you know. And And I also think in doing this, something that has really rung true for me, and I think we've touched on it, is the idea that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think self-care as you're going through all of this stuff is incredibly important, because this is trauma from our ancestors. It goes down to a cellular level, you know? And I think it can be surprising sometimes, the emotions that come up that we're experiencing, and that can change from moment to moment on top of a pandemic. So I think that self-care and being really gentle with yourself is important as well.
Yeah.
Especially like staying woke. The idea of staying woke, people don't think about, like, no, that's also sleep deprivation.
Right,
like,
exactly.
You need to take a nap. Like, and it's okay. Like, if you got to step out of the fight, like, there's somebody, you know, bring somebody else into the ranks.
You don't want a Jesse Spano situation.
No.
You don't want I'm so sad.
We're old. That's a very specific age group.
I know. You gotta be specific. Specificity.
Thank you.
I'm like, listen here, Lisa Turtle. You listen here, Lisa Turtle.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, y'all, I mean, I do feel motivated in this moment. There's so much because I feel like we are taking our power, and as opposed to this notion of being given the power. And that to me is an awakening in terms of standing in your light, standing in, and you know, and as my mom always says, blocking your blessing. And it's important that we are talking, and I'm excited to continue to talk to, you know, I have found, for me, it's a part of this you know, a ministry of mine in terms just being able to talk and you know, that is my, if you will, protest in terms of like being able to actually get voices in and like, let's hear it. Okay. You know, so I am humbled and grateful that you all opened your hearts to this audience, to this Broadway.com audience of viewers who may not have heard this before. Some of them have, and some of them may not. And it's so, you know, and you were some of they've seen you in shows. They've seen you up on the stage and you know, lights and all of the fierceness. And this strips away that to be able for people to understand the other things that are going on, and really rounding out this awakening for us for so many years, and where we need to go, and where we must go. Really,
it's like that thing that Griffin said in his video. It's like, we've been playing roles on stage and off, and it's important for us to now stop playing these offstage roles. Like, I'm done.
Absolutely, absolutely. So everyone out there, check out Asmeret's, if you have not, her article. It is a must read. Check out Mr. Daniel J. Watts and all of that he is doing, and all of these going on. Asmeret, wait, what's your handle? What's your handle?
It is, it's a long one. Okay, it's just at Asmeret Ghebremichael on Instagram, and you can find me that way.
Yes, Daniel J. Watts
on Broadway News. The op-ed piece.
Yes, it's on Broadway News. Daniel J. Watts, what is your handle?
I'm at D Watts Words, plural.
Yes, words, plural. Come on now. And I'll too, you know, not only just sort of getting to see you flourish because I've known you for a minute, but you stepping into, I think, a really beautiful light in terms of, you know, doing it your way, you know, and that's important. And it's that it doesn't, whether it's a loud voice or whether it's the softest voice that is giving you that intensity, is just as powerful. So, please, everyone, check out Broadway, the Advocacy Coalition, and what's going on with there. I can't wait to chat with you more about that after, and what's happening with that. What is your handle? What is your handle?
I'm at A Blankson-Wood, no hyphen. That's just me. At A Blankson-Wood.
I gave you a handle, an intermediate A. That was just wanted to let you know. I know you're used to your Yale School of Drama training. You know what I mean? Handle.
Thank you so much for that Mid-Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic microaggression teaching.
So there's that. I'm like, join us in our next episode. But no, I am so thankful for y'all to getting this, chatting, and it really means a lot that you all spoke from your hearts, and I'm sure to many, many other people out there who are looking up to you and hearing you. It's a beautiful thing to get to see themselves in you, and whether in any of the ways that you all have been doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Michael.
Absolutely.
Very well.
What you say, Daniel?
That's very nice of you.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm obsessed. I love it. I'm so happy we got to do that. Thank you, Asmeret, Ato, and Daniel for joining us today. And thank you for tuning in and listening, and just opening your hearts to what I am calling an awakening right now. I'm looking forward to the future, and there may be possible other discussions and all of that. So I can't wait to see what happens, and I hope that you will also come and join along for that ride. Thank you, Broadway.com, for doing that. Miss Caitlin.
Yes.
What's going on, Miss Caitlin?
I was just sitting here and learning so much from you. We are so grateful for you for using your voice and for moderating this incredible discussion on Live at 5 today. So grateful for you.
Thank you. Will you please take us out, girl? Take us out.
Gladly. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this very special and important episode of Live at 5 Home Edition. You guys can follow us on wherever you get your podcasts by searching for hashtag Live at 5 and hitting that subscribe button. Be sure to tune in tomorrow when we talk to Broadway's Norm Lewis all about his new Spike Lee directed movie on Netflix.